Alison Laliu, CEO of UBalancer Solutions. As an executive neuro coach with a passionate interest in emotional intelligence, I'm often asked to coach people to elevate their leadership capability. And I've got a special word for this. I call it a leadershift. And what it is creating leaders who deeply understand the importance of emotional intelligence in their own leadership. In the World Economic Forum report for 2020, it's highlighted that emotional intelligence has ramped up to about the 6th most important skill we need to have, as are some other skills like good judgment, making decisions, more quickly in this VUCA world, and connecting with people in relationships. So I'd like to share with you a little bit. I've got a little formula. It's called HEART. I'd like to share with you the 5 elements that I coach around in terms of trying to grow emotional intelligence in leadership. So the H stands for humility and humor. There's a wonderful book by Simon Sinek called Leaders Eat Last. And if we think about the military and about many other organizations where leaders really need to put themselves last and make sure that everybody else is okay. And I call this a power with type of leadership. It's a leadership style that involves an enormous amount of curiosity, the ability to lose our addiction to being right, the ability to ask way more questions than to provide solutions, the ability to create safe environments where people feel that they can come to you, that you haven't set yourself at such a high status level that you're unavailable or unattainable. So people need to be able to regard you with deep respect, but at the same token, feel that you're approachable. So that humility is very important, as is humor. We all want to have a bit of fun. Life is pretty full on. It can be very overwhelming. We eject a bit of fun. It's just that other emotion that lightens things up and helps us to be a bit more optimistic. So that's the H. The E is empathy, probably one of the most powerful emotional intelligence competencies we have, to choose the way we're going to respond rather than react in our everyday, and how we're actually going to show up. So empathy is about, again, there's more curiosity, about putting ourselves into other people's shoes, having that capacity to look at situations, often look at decision-making processes, look at strategic plans, look at the outcomes we want to achieve in our teams with an immense amount of perspective. So to look at it from all angles and again, lose that addiction to being right. And to have that understanding that we truly don't know what people have gone through in their day before they even show up for work that day. We don't know. They may not have slept. They may have someone in their family who's incredibly ill. They may be fighting an illness we don't even know about. So until we put that empathetic lens on and take the time to ask many, many questions and to gain the insight we need so that we have that kind of helicopter view, we're really not leading from the best perspective. So empathy has this other component, which is non-judgment. Very hard because we're all kind of addicted to being judgmental. So it doesn't mean, however, that we're not going to form our own opinion at the end of the day, and sometimes be very firm on what that opinion needs to be, because we have a lot of collective wisdom and understanding and experience that led us to that role. But until we've gone through the entire process of empathy and empathetic listening, the decision that we come to may not be the best one. So that's the E. The A is a lovely one. It's awareness. Without that foundational building block of being aware, of actually getting off autopilot, of slowing down, of tuning into our own body, our own emotions, tuning into others, picking the mood. Before, when we go into conversations, what mood are we in? What mood's the other person in? Tune into with great awareness in our meetings. Until we can do that, we miss a lot of important data, because essentially it's emotions that drive people. If we want our people to perform, we've got to tap into what's happening in their emotional world and our own, and navigate through that very well. So that's the awareness. HEA. The R, well, the R is an interesting one. It's all about relationship over task. every time. When we take the time to get to know our people, to connect with them, to walk the floor, to get out of our office, to get out of the ivory tower, to actually find out what makes people tick, what they value, what's important to them, what drives them, really even what happens outside of work, what's happening within, when are they going on holidays, where are they going to, what are they interested in, what are their passions, their hobbies. When we know our people well, they'll work hard, they'll have that intrinsic motivation, that drive, they'll really want to be under our leadership wing. So the tasks will flow. The productivity, the performance, the engagement, it'll all come if we put the time, the energy and the effort into relationships. So HEAR, and the last one we come to is T. And T is just truth telling and transparency. So when people know that we have integrity, that we do what we say we'll do, that we choose courage over comfort, and those are the words of Brené Brown when she describes integrity. When we really, cut the BS factor, really, and we keep people informed with honesty, and sometimes the news isn't great, but we have integrity and we're transparent and we bring people along the journey so they don't have to make up their own stories about what's going on. It's that transparency and that truth telling that builds trust very quickly. So I feel that when leaders learn how to grow their own emotional intelligence, because all these competencies are learnable, they're measurable too, by the way, so we have some wonderful profiling tools we use to measure them. But once people grow these competencies and start to live them in their everyday interactions at work, the entire interaction dynamic shifts, and you find that relationships start to thrive, teams start to form, bond, trust grows, and of course engagement, productivity, and the entire ROI flows from that. So I wish for you to add more heart to your leadership. Emotions are not soft, fluffy things to be left at the door. It's the hard data. In fact, without emotional intelligence, we're not going to get the best from our leadership. 90% of the information that goes into every decision comes from your emotions. So emotional intelligence is critically important. And I encourage you to not only grow it in yourself, but look for your high potential employees, look for anyone in your organization who you would like to support in their career journey or their growth, to reach out for coaching, because emotional intelligence coaching is exciting. Within 3 hours of coaching, we can start to see enormous shifts. And I have had heads of HR say to me, Alison, what did you give them to drink? And the truth is, they haven't had anything to drink. They've just had 3 or 5 hours of awareness raising and some tips and tricks around how to actually grow their emotional intelligence. So I wish you well with your leadership, and may the results be nothing less than spectacular. Thank you.